Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom Hooper,
Present.
Kathleen Walsh, here. Sabrina Ford, here. Mary Beth Ferguson, and Jack Teddy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
You should have in your packets a copy of the draft of the minutes from the last meeting on Tuesday, October 18th. Will you please take a minute and review that and see if there's any changes, additions, or corrections?
If there are no objections, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
You all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
We need to approve the agenda too.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, we need to approve our agenda for tonight. A little out of order here. Anything on the agenda that needs to be,
Motion
any
to
additions?
approve.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we have financial reports here. Since our last meeting, we have, looks like we have a bill for Med Media. Actually, there's two of them, but one of those is carried over with an addition to it for a current balance.
You mean since the October meeting?
Yes, since the October meeting.
Okay, sorry.
Are those, so there's 3 bills to be paid in there?
These are the 3 that have been paid.
They have been paid.
The ones that are coming up would be separate. This
Okay.
is actually a record of revenues and expenses.
Expenses, so those have been paid?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So those have already been taken care of.
There's also the lodging receipts report here as well.
As there are 3 figures for fiscal year 2017, what is the fiscal year for the?
So that runs October 1 through September 30th.
Okay.
The same as the...
October through September.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
The same as the city's fiscal year.
Okay.
Although technically, this budget is a little different because the Tourism Tax Commission's revenues do not expire. Like, at the end, it just rolls forward because it's a balance that this group can approve expenditures from that balance.
Thank you.
So we currently have a balance in the account of $16,166.14.
Correct. And Tom, I just made some copies of that list of when you get to new business. So I'll just pass these out while people are looking at this schedule.
Thank you.
Make motion for approval of the financial report.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Financial report has been approved. Old business.
So, as Tom mentioned, the Madden Media search engine marketing for December, because this group didn't meet in December, you would need to approve that expense. And then I would like for you to consider approving January through March, which would be $300 per month, and then that way we won't have to do it on a month-by-month basis, just for your consideration. And then we have a renewal in March, so these, you could either just think about these are kind of upcoming, but we would have a renewal in March on the small sign that we added out in wine country to point people towards St. Genevieve. It's on Mrs. Geck's farm. That is $650, and that would be due March 15th.
And that's now been up for a year
Yes, there will be soon.
in
Yeah.
March, yeah.
And so the way that we handled that was we had some funds available for the design and installation of that sign, so it's a permanent sign, and that was a one-time expense, so we took that one-time expense out of some other funds, and then the Tourism Tax Commission is paying the annual renewal on that. So that's $650, and that would be due in the middle of March. And then the first of our two billboards, the one that is near Jackson on Interstate 55, you view that as you are northbound. That one comes up for renewal at the end of March. So you don't have to vote on that, but I just wanted you to know kind of what's coming up.
And that's an annual rental.
Yes,
Yeah, it's annual rent.
that's 12 months, and they give us a
That's
discount.
Yeah, it's a $6,000 total expense for that. They do a 5% discount for paying all at one time. It could be changed to a monthly payment if we needed to, but we usually have, in general, have the carryover funds to fund that.
So more or less, these items, the one that is due now, the $300 for the December invoice, plus the upcoming invoices, January through March.
Which is $1,200.
So roughly everything that's coming up between now and March 30th is less than $8,000. I'd make a motion that we go ahead and approve these items.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Saves you a little work in the long run.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, well, that way when they
Well,
come
you
up,
have-
they can just be...
Right, and have it all laid out appropriately.
From the last minutes, we talked about the TripAdvisor.
Yes.
Any more information on that, or?
So I have been talking with them. That program is still available. They did give me, I talked with him just at the end of last week, and he gave me like the names of some smaller, maybe not as small as us, destinations that also use TripAdvisor. And so my plan was to reach out to them and see if they're enjoying it, what kind of return on investment they're getting. I didn't know, that's a $5,000 commitment, so I didn't know, if we wanted to.
That was $5,000 a quarter, was it? That was,
Yes.
yeah, a quarter.
Yeah.
That's just, that's, basically, we can commit it for a full year, that's our budget.
Well,
Which
so,
means-
yeah, so.
Which makes it, yeah.
Yeah.
makes it challenging.
Right, and I have other funds that, I was thinking maybe do a pilot program, and so maybe I could do like a pilot program with the TripAdvisor from those other funds, and then see how it goes, and if we find that it's been valuable, and then maybe this fund will have some more flexibility in it.
I was able to talk to, at a visitor center in Huntsville, Alabama, that had TripAdvisor, because we traveled down there, and it popped right up on the phone, and had many, many listings, and they were easy to follow. It was very good for that, and I took the time and stopped by and talked to their tourism department there.
Oh, that's cool.
And for their size city, of course, they're 92,000, and of course, it ramps up depending on the size of your community. And they're very happy to have it, but they got a grant for 100%, to cover it 100%. And they're not sure if they could do it as a line item in their budget.
Did they get that from their tourism department?
It was something through something with the state and also a private corporation that is in the aerospace industry there, provided something, and then so one of the big employers. So they were very happy with the way it worked. It was very easy for me to use as a stranger in the community, because I found where they were and with their tourism department on that app.
Oh, that's cool.
Are you on vacation? Business?
Working.
Huntsville's a neat town to visit.
That's what I was wondering, like, I use TripAdvisor all the time, but, like, what does the ad look like, and, like, where's the placement at on it, and would it be easier for customers to see, to pop up?
Yeah, so the way, if you go to TripAdvisor, there's basically 3 types of ads. Figure one is long and narrow horizontally, and that usually pops up towards the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen. And then there's one that's kind of more square, and that's going to pop up over to the right. The proposal that they're making to us would be to have some of each type of those, narrow at the top, narrow at the bottom, and square on the right-hand side. And the way it works is it's pay to play. So we would invest so much, with them. And then for that, when someone searches things to do in Missouri, or places to stay in Missouri, or things to do near St. Louis, then we, along with however many other people are paying them to do this,
Right.
might pop up. And so we have a presence on TripAdvisor now, and all of your organizations are, like if you have a lodging establishment, it's already on TripAdvisor, and as you well know, people put their reviews out there.
Yes, they do.
Quite quickly, yes. And so all the wineries, they have, it's like when Tom and Pat traveled to Huntsville, if you went to some place that you'd never been before, you might put a TripAdvisor review out there and say, best place we ever stayed, most fun we ever had. Visitors to the Welcome Center have actually put the Welcome Center on TripAdvisor too. We rank like in the top 10 of cool things to do. So that's by, it's by, just basically it's a crowdsourced input. So that input driven by customers is always out there on TripAdvisor. We would be paying to put our ad in front of them when they're out, like maybe they're making a review on Hahn State Park, or maybe they're making a review on St. Louis, or maybe they're forming their travel plans and they're searching on St. Louis. So we'd be trying to get displayed in front of them while they're active on TripAdvisor.
That was the other question I had,
Yeah.
was like the search words, or when the ad would pop up,
Yes.
how we would benefit from that.
Yeah, this particular one, you punch on that, and everything listed, just a little narrow across everything in the entire town. I mean, every restaurant in town, every hotel, every gas station was on there.
Right. Yeah, there's different icons at the
Yeah,
top,
and,
what you could pick, what you're looking
Well,
for.
this one just pulled everything up, so I don't even know, and it could be a different program, and they, with the grant money that they had, they could, pretty much, take the Cadillac approach.
And there are Cadillac approaches. So those categories that you observed, like lodging or dining or attractions, those are TripAdvisor categories, and their users put those reviews out there. So it's organically generated, and then there's also the paid side of it. So So it's the ads that you pay for. And
Right.
when you pay with them, you can have an enhanced, sort of like a homepage, that's not generated by user content, but by what you want for your destination. So you control the look of that page for your community to a greater degree.
Well, thank you very much.
Tom, you had also asked me to look at the distribution figures on the rack cards that the committee printed last year. So I've got the pretty copy, and you won't get the black and white ones, I apologize.
Thank you.
And I apologize, Dean,
Oh, that's fine.
I can get you all the paper you want, though. So, as you will recall, we did 13,500 rec cards for French Colonial St. Genevieve, and this committee has seen those multiple times. Those are on display at the Welcome Center, they're on display at the Microtel. Sometimes we use these whenever we send out information for like maybe a group tour to come to St. Genevieve, because they put together folders and they might not want the whole 16 panel visitors guide. They might just want one little card to put in there. So we've used them for numerous things, but our CMI, which is the contractor that we have used to distribute these, as you will recall, we signed up for all of the hotels in the I-55 corridor, and also like major attractions and major corporations in downtown St. Louis. So like if they have employees coming in who are maybe visiting their corporate headquarters, they would see that there. So that's the 13,005 up at the top. This is the total in-market distribution. And then they use 3% as just a rule of thumb for conversion. So that's a conservative estimate of the leads that would become customers. Then they figure most parties have 2 in the party. The state of Missouri, I think, used a figure of 2.4. It's kind of like how many kids the American family has, right? Who's the 0.4, right? And then they use an average ticket, including food and beverage. This doesn't include, obviously, room night stay, so you could think of that as an additional. But so based on a $40 spending per person, they're trying to get down to your total return on investment. So on my sheet it's green, but that's the big block at the bottom right. Total ROI is, what they estimate is $30,140. Now these are purely projections on their part, but your committee felt like it was important to have that presence on rack cards out there. I have people that come into the Welcome Center that say that they picked it up, like along their travels and decided to come in. It's in your hotel lobby, and of course it's in others. So like, let's say if they spent the night in Perryville, it's going to be in the hotel lobbies there, so they might be looking for things to do nearby. Wouldn't benefit you so much, but it might get people here to St. Genevieve, and usually if we can get them here, they plan to come back and maybe stay again next time. So I just wanted to share that with you, because the company did provide that feedback information.
Very interesting.
Those statistics. I believe that everyone that is at the table now was also here for the first meeting, but the information about expenditures in our market and visitors to our market, I wanted to go outside of our...
I didn't get that.
Super
Oh,
easy.
there you go. So I wanted to go outside of our, our data. As I said in the previous meeting, I'm 100% confident in our data. but I wanted to have also data from the state of Missouri to just, give some cold hard facts based on statisticians at the Division of Tourism. So you can see that their statistics that they pay for through the state of Missouri shows the increasing revenues on a year-over-year basis in the St. Genevieve designated marketing area. And so you can see how that has increased from FY13 to FY16, incrementally, slow growth, but it is on a positive trend in our destination, which is the same thing that we see generally across the board. I did have, Tom, do you want me to mention, you had asked me to take a look at kind of some of the experience of our local lodging establishments too. And so I reached out to all of them, promising that they would not be identified individually, just to see how they were at the end of 2016.
Yeah, see their room nights, if they were
Yes.
above.
Yes. And so, so I did that, and each of them was, some were up more than others. Each of them were up on 2016 versus 2015. Each one tracks it a little differently. Some track room nights, some track total revenues. The highest one was up 8%, and the most close to even one was up 0.02% on calendar year over calendar year. And I did also, sometimes people assume that maybe the revenues are higher because the room prices are higher, but I asked each one of them if that was the case. Have they increased their room rates anytime in the last 4 years? All of them across the board had kept their room rates the same. I think the Microtel's been at 79 since I started in 2013, and then it's up $10 on the weekend.
Actually, it changed about 3 years ago. It was, because it was like 95, because it was like 69.95 and 79.95, and then
Went to 79?
Yeah.
Plus 10 on the weekends? Okay.
yeah, 10 on the weekends.
Okay. So I wasn't sure what year that started.
Yeah, I think
So
it was
it's been
about 3 years ago.
Okay. 2015 was your highest year in the past several years, since the recession. We've been gradually coming back since the recession. So on your figures, Tom, 2015 had been the highest year, and the first quarter of 2016 was pretty strong as well. And so I'm glad that you provided that clarification, because it's actually good to know. But the B&Bs, now one of them is going to increase their prices this year because they feel like they can. So,
Yeah, once you have a certain occupancy percentage.
right. Right. So I just wanted to share that with the group, just because it's good to know at the end of the year, you kind of take a look at those kind of things.
And also, Serena, there on the other page that has it basically has the information from visitor tracking, and then the interpretation from state of Missouri, how they adjust that for the SIC codes, and basically they're saying that the figures at the visitor center for that same time period was 20,946 people.
Could I get a copy of that?
That's
Yes.
that's this one.
I will, yeah.
And that based on revenues and those numbers, our marketing area for the tourism says that we had approximately 82,500 visitors to the St. Genevieve tourism area.
And they do that study, not every year, because it's very expensive. They do it statewide and look at every single marketing area across the state. So the most recent one, as you can see there, that they had done it was 2015. So Sabrina, I took our numbers for 2015 in terms of visitor numbers and adjusted it for their fiscal year, so we'd be comparing apples to apples.
That's why that 20,946 doesn't match either of the numbers on the set of visitor
yeah.
calendar year.
It's easy to get on a roll when you're crunching numbers and, like things like adjusting for the fiscal year. If I don't put it down in writing, I'm like, oh my God, why is this dot number the same as the other one? So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put it in writing. I know it seems pretty rudimentary, but I'm like, but who's going to remember a year from now?
Does anyone else have any other business here? Discuss for the board?
Well, I appreciate your taking care of those expenses because it's just one less thing to worry about.
Those are done and done.
Yeah, we have the money. Why put it off?
Yes. Yeah, that's everything.
There, I knew I had another stack.
Oh, that's too hard.
And then when does our, on the rack cards, when does that run and come up for a possible renewal?
So I worked with them to extend it through March. So we could meet again in February. We could meet in March and probably be okay with it.
Okay. And then are there any, on those, and just preemptively, are there things that we need to change on that brochure to bring it up to date for anything else that we're doing?
Well, when you say brochure,
well, the rack card.
The rack card's good.
Just to make sure that it's in continuity with the other print ads and things that we're doing, so we have that branding.
Yes, definitely.
Especially if we're going to redo that, when we might need to change
Dates or something.
dates, typefaces.
It won't be a Tuesday, it'll be a Wednesday or
Yeah, so
something.
just make sure, so that all that is fitting in seamlessly with the other things we're doing.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay, great.
In my opinion, I think the rack cards have been very successful, and you've had a lot to do with pushing us to do that.
Well, I was so surprised at how
And it's so cheap.
reasonably the cost was. Because when we did it with a guild up in Hannibal, Louisiana, Clarksville, with 50 miles of art, and it was about 5 times that expensive.
Wow.
When are the new brochures being printed?
He's
Because we're
talking
coming out
about
with the spring one, right? I know he's talking about the rack card, but
the rack. So the new brochures we had at the last meeting, but you weren't there. So the
I was at every meeting.
no. I'm sorry. The last
that one,
TAC.
okay.
Yeah. So I dropped some off out at the Microtel, the new visitors guide, the big fold-out brochure. I dropped some off, but I'll get you more if you need more.
Yeah, I've been calling, I'm speaking to Andrew, I've called him 3 times, and finally today we ran down and he gave us a little bag. So I didn't know if you were running low.
No,
Because generally we get a whole box.
Yeah.
And he just gave us a little gift
I'll
bag.
get you a whole box, yeah.
Yeah, because we go through those like crazy.
Yeah, he's used to the B&Bs, which generally get him a bag full at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
No, yeah, so I dropped them off
I didn't
out
know
there.
Yeah.
And they were on the counter. I know they were there when the women's group was there for their Christmas party, because I saw them there in December.
We are out.
Yeah.
How many is in a box?
I think 500. Seems right.
And so they came in before Christmas. When did they come in?
November, our last TAC
Our last
meeting.
TAC, okay.
It was the one that you guys
So
looked
if
at.
you're out, that's how many people went past and snagged one.
Yeah, because we keep them out on the desk.
Yeah.
And then we got several little tables around, and we keep
That's one of
some
the highest
out by the
traffic
front
areas for
door. We
that.
keep them
Yeah,
everywhere.
but to be fair, I didn't bring you a whole box. I just brought, like, probably a bag.
Okay.
So I'll bring you a whole box.
Yeah, definitely.
If there's no further business, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you so much.